and welcome to Moms of Flavortown.
Pew, 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 pew.
I am Rachel.
I'm
Okay,
Debbie.
and we are here today with a really exciting guest on the podcast. You might know him as the winner of Next Food Network Star Season 7, one of the co hosts of The Kitchen. He's an Emmy nominee, general all around Food Network personality, co host of the upcoming new season of Worst Cooks in America, Celebrity Edition. And of course, he is the Sandwich King. Please welcome Jeff Mauro.
Hello. Thanks for having me on, guys. This is exciting.
We are so excited to have you. We're big
Hey,
fans. Debbie, you are breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry to say.
I turned my video off. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. Bear with
No
us.
worries. No worries.
So we want to start off easy, start off cool. What are some of your earliest food memories as a kid?
Growing up in a giant Italian-American family here in Chicago, it's like food is everywhere, and I think the earliest memory, other than the smell, the aroma of a Sunday dinner at my grandmother's house, which was 50% like red sauce and
Mm.
50% cigar smoke, and anytime I smell those independently or rarely these days together, right? It just throws me so back where I can just visualize the world. It's like this, the house is still there. It's the tiniest house on the northwest side of Chicago. And it's where my mom and my two aunts and uncles, my mom's one of four, six people grew up in a 2-bedroom house with no basement, no second floor, on a small city lot. And we squeezed 20 something people in there every Sunday. And it was the just the oral sensation of the noise of everybody in there combined with the red sauce and the cigar smoke from my grandpa. It was just it set me up for, I think, a life obsessing with food. So those things are, I mean, like the smell alone is like.
Mhm.
And then there's the moments of like my grandma would make pizza, this tiny little steel stove. And I remember her using scissors to clip it. She'd always just underbake it. So it was so gooey. And her kind of, us tugging at her apron strings, and she'd give you the snip, snip, snip and cut you a little piece off. And it was just
Oh,
like the gooeyest piece of, yeah, it was great. So those were probably my earliest memories.
well, this is actually a question from Debbie, who spent some time in Chicago. She lived in Chicago for a few years, but she wanted to ask you specifically, do you like Chicago deep dish, Chicago style pub pizza, or
Uh,
New York style pizza?
okay, well, we could throw New York right out the window to start with, which I
Oh,
I'm
appreciate.
back,
It's
by the
great.
way, just
Oh,
in
of
time for
course.
that.
How convenient,
well,
Debbie.
we're New York based. We're both
I
living in
know.
Queens, so
No, I'm not going to go through the whole spiel with you. I
Uh-huh.
appreciate New York pizza. Listen, I pay New York taxes because I'm out there so much working. I pay Jersey tax. I'm considering myself 50% East Coast at this point, even though I still
Yeah.
live in the same neighborhood. But for me, I love a good thin crust Chicago style, call it tavern style
Mm-hmm.
pizza, sausage pepperoni, well done, medium, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and to me, that's like just hot, either in a bag or a box, either eaten at the joint or at home. I mean, that's the thing that I think the East Coast miss out a lot, right? You can go to like a hot pizza joint and they have a wood burning oven, and either can get a reservation or wait. Like Raza Pizza in Jersey City, I love. It's great. It's
Mm-hmm.
an experience when you go there, right? But you don't. I feel like East Coasters either do that but like for like, working people's pizza, like a New York slice style pizza or Chicago style tavern or whatever. Like what we do in Chicago is we sit down and eat. Like we always order a whole. We don't eat slices of pizza. We don't eat
Right.
meat on the go. For us, it's an event, right? Whether you order and
Mm-hmm.
it comes to the door piping hot and you rip open that box and it's just like plumes of pizza stank all over the kitchen. I mean, to me, there's like nothing better than that. Or you go like after the ball game or after your play or for a Sunday night dinner and you get a pitcher of pop,
Mhm.
or a pitcher of beer, and you have that, they have that pizza tray and they just bring out 3 pizzas at once. You can't even eat it for 7 minutes. It's so damn hot. You know,
Uh-huh.
That, I mean, for me, it's a pizza is a religion, but you know, long-winded answer, it's the tavern style.
Can you
All right.
explain to me, as a lifelong New Yorker, what is tavern? I've had
Wow.
Chicago deep dish. I don't even know what the tavern style is. Like,
Wow.
how is it different from New York style?
It's the funny thing is like that was not in our vernacular growing up whatsoever. Probably not
Yeah.
even till 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when people started. You know, I think it started with the Bourdain kind of dissertation on deep dish and him dubbing it a casserole, and then everybody kind of expounding on that and mimicking it
Mhm.
ad nauseum for the last 10 years, 12 years, whatever. You know, that's like everybody who like wants to rail against Chicago pizza did like without even having it. Yeah, it's a casserole. I'm like, well, that's an unoriginal thought. Like a brilliant man actually came up with it. So come up with some original ideas first. But like, I think that actually started it was thin crust, right? You either thin
Yeah.
or you have deep dish once every 6 months here, most
Yeah.
Chicagoans, right? Maybe less, maybe more. And then there's subcategories of deep dish. There's
Mhm.
stuffed deep
Yes.
dish, which is like a Giordano's or a Paisano's, or where you have more of a fortified dough with either lard or shortening in it or butter, and it's more biscuity, flaky, shorter kneaded dough that's cooked in a pan like a regular deep dish, different dough, but then a thin layer of dough is like under the sauce above the cheese that kind of gives it this stuffed way heavier experience, you know. So like tavern style is just our thin crust cut into squares, and a couple key components to that. It's like, you know, we're usually using good mozzarella, usually from Grande, which is a Midwest Wisconsin Italian cheesemaker. Usually they use a mozzarella provolone blend or just all mozzarella. It's a very thin cracker like crust, and then you got chunks of like house made or good Chicago made sausage in there. Not like, you know, you go to the East Coast, you get a slice of sausage pizza a lot. It's like these razor cut thin, you know, strips of sausage on the pizza. Now, so we got chunks that are baked into it.
Mm.
And then it's cut into squares, so it's a more dynamic pizza eating experience, right? You got your edges, which are crispy and kind of mimic that last like 20% of a New York slice, but it's even crispier. Then you got the gooey middles, and then you got the triangles that kind of round it out in the four quadrants. It's like, for me, I love it because it's a little rather than just kind of the repetitive. I'm going to start it at the point and work my way to the crust with a tavern square cut or party cut pizza. It's there's just so much to choose. There's such a spectrum of textures, you know, that we
Okay.
really
Can
did.
let me ask you something though. What about Emo's Pizza in St. Louis? How do you feel about that?
We went to the Lake of the Ozarks. We were kids on a fun family summer vacation, you know, packing up the minivan, ripping out two of the seats, putting a mattress back there, and six of
Oh
us in
yeah.
a car way too small, or yeah, and then not safe enough, but we got there. And it was like it was our first time in that region of the country. And I remember going out for pizza, and you know, like, I don't know, right? We're all kind of we're all enamored and in love with the pizza that, you know, we grew up eating in our neighborhoods, wherever we're from. And this is like, even like for me, pizzas, I'll rather have pizza than anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
for the most, not sandwiches, but like,
That was my question.
yeah, I know. Oof, I almost got canceled. Uh, so like we went there to this place in the Ozarks, right? And we ate the pizza, and we're all eating. We're like, why? What is this? Or what is this funk? What is this aroma? Why is this cheese like sticking to my teeth like a Kraft Singles of grilled
Yep.
cheese? You know what I mean? I'm like, what?
Yep.
Why is it taste like kind of provolone, but with American cheese, but it's white? I don't know what's going on. And we were in cheese, like, you know, the girl was like, this, we're inquiring, what is, like, that's Provel cheese, which I thought she was mispronouncing provolone. So I was like, oh,
Right.
okay. And that was the first time I kind of, you know, that region style of pizza. And I've had Emo's before, and it evokes that same Provel style.
Yeah.
And I love the square, I love the crust, but man, I've tried, I can't get past the Provel.
It's weird. It's weird. And that's why it never leaves the state of Missouri.
Yeah, it just hasn't really put any footprint across. You know, you go to New York, there's Chicago places. There's Emmett's out there,
Right.
you know. I'm trying to think of,
Detroit. There's
yeah,
some
Detroit is
yeah.
everywhere, you know, in the
Well, what
middle of
about
nowhere now, you know.
Connecticut is
The Connecticut,
Oh
that would
yeah.
be like New
Hmm.
Haven is everywhere. Love it. Probably
mm-hmm.
like I'm not a snob. I don't. I'm not saying like Chicago or bust, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm too well traveled, but I've been to New Haven. I've eaten at 5 places in a row there in one day. And I've eaten it everywhere else. Like that to me is probably. I mean, I would rather have that style than like a New York slice any day. I mean, I
Oh
love that
wow.
robust crust, especially when
Uh-huh.
it's a coal burning oven. And I mean, the way they cut the pizza, it's nonsensical, but at
Yeah.
least it's a point of view, I guess.
Well, let me ask you. I love this conversation. We love pizza, but let me ask a few more questions about your history, to like find out like
Sure.
about like how this all happened, right? So, when did you start wanting to become a chef?
Well, my first job was at a butcher shop when I was 15 down the street.
So cool.
And they were like just the worst, mustaches, chain smoking,
Uh-huh.
sawdust, like sawdust back like when there's sawdust on the floor.
Wow.
I'm
Uh-huh.
46, right? I mean, I guess I still feel, I'm like looking at my picture in the Zoom. I'm like, I don't look like I cut meat and then you put the fat and blood on sawdust on the floor. I mean, it's not like Upton Sinclair, the jungle over here.
Right.
Uh, but that's how like they were just so mean to me, and they had like a stack of Playboys in the back, and they just constantly ripping
Hmm.
ciggies and cutting meat, and they're yelling at me, and I'm all I had to do was sweep and scrub cold fat off pans, in the back, and like no lights, like I think they rationed my soap, and I was like, this is horrible, and I like loved every minute of it. I like fell in
Uh-huh.
love with
Yep.
just because it was all about that counter, right? And just how they turn it on for any customer that come through,
Hmm.
even though they're complete jerks to me and borderline, abusive to me back then. Like
Uh-huh.
I saw them turn it on for those customers. I was like, this is a magical kind of place to be in, right? They're using their hands to create something out of nothing and present it to these people, and makes them happy. And then I kind of realized that there wasn't a lot of room for growth there. I was like, they were hiring literally 4 doors down at the deli, so catering place. So I started working there for $5 an hour,
Uh-huh.
which was an upgrade from the
Nice.
$3.62 an hour. But that's a kind of like
Yeah.
that's where I started making sandwiches and using a meat slicer, prepping veg,
Uh-huh.
doing all that, working caterings. So like from that moment, I'm like, I can always make money and still do my theater and comedy and all that stuff in high school. And I was in Second City youth
Hmm.
programs, and
Nice.
I did everything I could to perform, but I always made my video game money
Hmm.
cooking. So and I went to college, and I was in a fraternity, and I was a steward in the fraternity, and I had the keys to the kitchen, and I didn't cook there, but we had like an old timey chef that was, the chef. I put chef in quotations because you're cooking for a bunch of, idiots. And I
Yeah.
do all the food ordering for that. So, my whole life was
Mhm.
kind of, I love this food. I love the power of food. I love, I love a deli
Hmm.
case. I love a
Mhm.
deli. I love that stage to me, as much as the stage and playing music and doing all this stuff was. So I was just like, how do I kind of meld the two? And then by the time I graduated, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a comedian. I wanted to do sketch. I want to do improv. I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live, but I didn't want to work in an office.
Hmm.
So I always cooked too. So I opened a deli with my cousin a couple weeks after I graduated.
Oh.
And that we did for, many years, while at night I performed in Tony and Tina's wedding in Chicago, which was a big
Yeah,
improv
yeah.
based Italian American wedding. Yeah.
Amazing.
So I started as like, a grunt waiter that you make up your own character. And then I slowly moved up to Tony, all while
Oh,
running the
cool.
deli. So I was like, my whole life was always performing and working with food. Um, and then left that and
Hmm.
ended up moving to Los Angeles to pursue food TV, which, what good came out of that, obviously, then, just mountains full of rejection, and learning how realized that it's a lot harder in, you know, the internet entertainment capital of the world than it might have been in Chicago, especially when it came to my stand-up and sketch and all that stuff. I still pursued it, but I ended up enrolling in culinary school out there.
Oh, cool.
And then doing that and working in a restaurant and kind of getting that paper in
So how
order
long
to.
did you move? Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
How long did you move to LA before you ended up on Next Food Network Star?
Great. Well, I started auditioning for Food Network Star after being in LA for 4 years.
Okay.
Okay.
And we already started moving. I was like shipping stuff home. We were already moving. I left the restaurant. I graduated from culinary school and I went to an open call for Food Network Star. Which I didn't get a call back from them till like December, and that was probably April. So
Oh,
weird.
wow.
Oh, wow.
So I moved back home at that point, but I literally left LA thinking, I'm on. I did it. Like I went to, I did everything I was supposed to do. I kept my eye on the prize, and it kind of all culminated into this open call that I took a chance and went to. I knew about the show, obviously. It was a goal of mine. But I was like, I'm going to audition once and get on this show. And they called me back in December, like, we're flying you out next week to New York for semifinal rounds. And I went there and I waited for 12 hours in Chelsea Market, chugging coffee next to the lobster place. And all I was doing was like smelling lobster and seafood.
I love that
and
place,
like,
though.
it's great.
Yeah.
But like, you have that waterfall there, you know? And it's like, so I'm getting like steam heat. And it's just like, so I spent years walking by that lobster place because there's that blue bottle coffee or another coffee place. Right? So I was like, not eating drinks, just so nervous. They finally called me upstairs, and I just did every test, every culinary quiz they gave me. I ended up ending with a demo. Like in my mind, right? You know, her memories. I got a standing ovation, right? I'm like,
Right.
so I got on that plane the next day. You know, of course, this is back then. It's my first time in New York. And I mean, I think I was like I had like 2 connections from LaGuardia to Chicago. You know, I was like stopped in Atlanta and Charlotte. Like it was like the cheapest, worst flight. But I was so excited. And I remember being on that flight home. I'm like, I think I did it. I've achieved my dreams. And then they never called me back. Not even close. And like I had to call them back months later. I was like, hey man, remember me? I thought I made you kind of told me almost like I pretty much made it. So I was kind of hurt, you know, but not hurt, but
Wait, so you didn't make it on that season? You made it on a different season?
That was season 4.
Oh my God.
So I tried out each subsequent year.
Wow.
So I made it on season 7.
That's wild. So what did your show air?
2011.
Okay.
So
you know, it's really sorry.
I don't even know. 14. I know you guys do the math. You guys got glasses on. You're smarter than I am.
Can I tell you something funny quickly? That means that I was on Food Network before you because I won season 1 of Worst Cooks in America, which was 2010.
Shut the hell up. Yeah, that's right. I knew it. I knew that. Oh my God. You're an alumnus as well.
Yes.
So you won. So that
I'm just
was
like thinking of like, sorry.
No, that was Ann and Bobby, right?
That was no, it wasn't Bobby.
No,
it was Bo. It was the first season. It was Ann and Bo McMillan.
Holy smokes!
And Ann was my coach, and I won. But when you're talking about that like Chelsea Market thing, like I have such visceral memories of like I had to go there to like film some promo or something. The show didn't shoot there, but I had to go there to film some promo. And I ran into Bobby Flay, and I was so excited to meet him because like he was like my idol, right? And
yeah.
I was like, my face was on like a poster behind him. And I was like, hey, like I'm on Food Network. And he was like, I don't care.
He's like,
like not in those voices, but he's like,
me,
okay, like nice to meet you. And like walked in.
Yeah, call me in a decade.
Right.
Like,
but
that's so exciting.
So I watched your season of Next Food Network Star. I probably only watched it like 3 years ago or something. But it's so funny because like I was watching them all on Discovery Plus. Love Discovery Plus. And it's so hard to watch that show though because I know who won every season when I watch it. Because as soon as the cast comes on, I'm like, oh, there's JEFF MAURO, like he's the winner.
Well, I encourage everybody to tap back into that. I mean, I'll throw it on every once in a while just to remind myself from whence I came. And it's like that first shot of me walking down Hollywood Boulevard, like a big orange shirt, and I had like gross long sideburns, and I don't know. I was just like so unstructured at that point. I was like just like this slab of sloppy granite, you know, that just needed just a little refinement carving. And it's Listen, it's for me, I don't, yeah, part of the joy of what I do is I guess the risks I took in the time it took. In that I do sometimes frequently like wake up in the morning and I'm like, am I really doing like, is this my life?
Wow.
Did I
Uh-huh.
do this? And I set my sights on it for so long. And it's like you can tell the kids all day, don't give up,
Hmm.
never, believe in yourself. Every cliche expression, right? But for me, like what it boils down to, what I kind of teach my son is like, you gotta keep doing shit,
Mhm.
Hmm.
like always be doing stuff
Hmm.
that might not make you money or might not even be comfortable or gratifying in any way, but you're flexing and training those muscles and getting those reps in. Like
Hmm.
I did stand up, I did stupid thing, like you dress up as an elf at the Special Olympics because you never,
Hmm.
like it's like I never thought I'd be in a position where I would be super uncomfortable, but you're like, to me, it's like you never know who's watching. And even
Mhm.
if nobody's going to discover you on that in the bottom, the basement of a bowling alley,
Hmm.
at least you can tell people, and I cut my teeth doing stand up for 7 people in the basement of a bowling alley, and
Yep.
6 of them were
Uh-huh.
bowling. you know, I don't
I
know.
will
That
Yeah.
just
say,
adds
like,
to it.
yeah, I mean, like stand up, I work with a lot of stand ups, and that is to me the hardest fucking thing you can
Oh, it
do.
sucks.
Oh,
I did my 5 years of stand up and
Oh, good. And you
um,
realize, what? I'm shortening my life here. And
yeah.
I always say, I like all respect, right? I
It's hard,
I
yeah.
did I did stand up with a lot of guys here in Chicago, like TJ Miller,
Hmm.
Kumail, Pete Holmes,
Hmm.
Fortune Femster, like all these that are very like notable now, if
Hmm.
one of them hasn't been canceled, but whatever. But like, and we were just doing open mics and small feature things,
Hmm.
and they were, I'm like, these guys are just legends already. Like they're so
Mhm.
funny. And I was just like, I happened to be a local guy with that appeal to the local people, where everybody else was kind of from somewhere. And that didn't translate in LA at all, my material. And I kind of gave up and went into groundlings and sketch, writing my own
Hmm.
stuff. And that worked out better for me. But I've never done stand up where I was like I can get on stage and do a whole improv situation, any game, anything. I can get on stage with my band and play 3 hours straight, and I will not even get my fingers won't even tingle, nothing.
Hmm.
I get on stage to do stand up, and I feel like I'm dying inside. You
I
know,
know. Yeah. Well,
it's
that's
so
what
hard.
the reason that I stopped was that I was like, my life started getting better. And I was like, if I'm not miserable, I don't want to do this.
And that's the thing. I feel like, again, to bring it back to my original point, talking about all the guys I did stuff with, not that they're miserable, they've transcended that, but a lot of these comics, these road comics,
Yeah,
Oof.
are not happy. It's not a
totally.
healthy culture. I wanted a family.
Hmm.
I wanted entertainment, but like there is nowhere it says in both of my careers, right? Whether it's comedy or being a chef, even though the cliche is you got to be this miserable, chain smoking, hard drinking, tattooed,
Totally.
just back of the house bastard, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, I'm like, no, dude, I could be a deli guy and be
Hmm.
your happy, gregarious person, but still like know how to make 80 gallons of soup very, very well.
It's
Yeah.
so
And
it's so cool how you took that skill and like honed it so perfectly, right? So what
thank
after
you.
after Food Network Star,
Yeah.
how long was it till you actually got your show?
Oh my God. This is the funny thing that a lot of people don't know. You've been on a reality show, so you know like the timing of it.
Hmm.
By the time I left my job, I was a corporate chef for a large mortgage company here. So I had like 2 cafes and I fed about 350 people a day and I left. And the only
Hmm.
people that knew where I went were my family. And I told the owner of the company and the guy who was in charge of me, who hired me essentially. He was like an IT guy, but for some reason that's the only guy I reported to. Uh, so I pretty much was my own boss, which was great. But I was like, I'm not getting paid for this. I need, my wife's a nurse. You know, we had a 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old son. We had a mortgage payment. She's like, and by that time, my wife was very concerned about me getting on that plane and going to shoot Food Network Star because she swore. My wife's very realistic, very normal, no pipe dreams. She's been by my side for 20, 25 years. See me do every stupid, she's sappy. She's never like, she's not the type of, in this myself, she's not like, you got this, honey. Believe in yourself. I believe, like, it's all like, you're talented, show me the money and keep doing shit. Don't ever think that, you know, if you're going to be something, do it. Like, big steps to do it. She always, you know, she held me accountable, which is very helpful too. And plus, we have a nurse, they make very good money, much more than better money than cooks. So she's like, she was insistent that I got on that plane. It's, our life's going to change forever. I'm going to get it. I'm going to make, you know, I'm going to make the final round of auditioning. I'm going to, I went same thing, same process as that season 4, you know? So when I got on that plane, she was like, you're going to do it. So I ended up doing it. And then it was like, it happened all so quick that I was like, can you please keep my job for me? I promise you, I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, boss, but it'll probably be good for the business if everything works out. Just hold my job for 2 months. And then I was gone. And then like all my customers were like, well, they either thought I went to rehab or the joint, right? This guy's either, right? Nobody disappears, right? Where are you going to go? You're dead or, you know, but I think they finally started thinking, oh, maybe, you know, because I was funny. It was a good training ground for me. You know, where it's like Tony and Tina's wedding for 4 years taught me to do table work and really work a room, you know, 7 nights a week, 350, like boom, boom. Like I served 350 people a day at my cafe in Delhi. It was an open kitchen. I would just boom, boom, right? Bits, cook, stir, boom, 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 wrap, bits, hi, boom. Don't like you, move. I'm not, you know, just like one after the other for like 7 hours in a day. So by the time I got back, by the time they press released the cast for season 7 of Food Network Star, where I was finally like, I was back home already for a couple months, maybe 2 months back in my job. And everybody, I showed up, everybody's like, where the, what? I was like, okay, I was learning to cure meats with Mario Batali. Like that was my big cover up. Like I couldn't tell anybody. So then, but then they're like a week later, they're like, well, where's all this? Where's the salami? And I mean, like, nobody's like, you spent too much learning the, like, you know, the art of salumi with the great Mario Batali. This was before he was canceled, obviously. In my fake story, he's still a good guy, but you know, can I get canceled for siding with the guy even in something I made up 15 years ago? So everyone's like, where are you going? So then finally, like, I remember like the magazine came out one day and they did the press release. I was like, this is what I've been doing. So by the time that press release came out, not only did I know I won Food Network Star, but I shot my first season of Sandwich King Undercover.
Oh, so cool. So it was
like,
ready to go once it came out. But
then it was 13 weeks of the show airing, you know, so it's keeping that secret for, it was
That's
a lot of, you know, a lot of buttoning of the lip.
Yep.
So we had Justin Warner on the pod, and he kind of got like the opposite happened to him, where his show like never came out. And
that's a shame. It's one of the biggest. I'm sure that's the biggest flub, and I think that kind of led to the downfall of that show. Was they really didn't support the winners. I think it was the last winner that they kind of supported. You know, because I did have a clearer point of view. You know, that was hyper
it's an
original.
easy show. It's also like you can just picture it immediately when you see you. Yeah.
I mean, I could have won if I was just like, I'm Jeff Mauro and I do food for people. You know what I mean? I mean, because you could go back to the catalog. Everybody's like, my name's Jim Johnston and I do crazy food for people. You know? Like everything, like it's been to you. And then you have always like a handful, 1 or 2, like, I'm Jimmy Doo and I do healthy food for people. And you're like, the network's never going to buy a healthy food show. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to watch it. It's like, you know, it's just like, it doesn't sell. So, but Justin is such a unique talent that, you know, I truly, truly wish that they gave him a vehicle immediately and he can use all that momentum, you know, to launch a series. You know, it's not, but look at it, look at the landscape right now. I mean, you know, daytime is, you know, I mean, we have the kitchen, we have a couple other, you know, it's, they're still figuring things out in this world of
Right.
streamers and stuff. But thank God for like, you know, I'm busy. Like I thank God for the kitchen, thank for Worst Cooks. I just finished the season of Holiday Wars. So I mean,
Oh,
Oh,
I love the
nice.
competition shows and you know, people on Reddit and they're always on the Food Network subreddit, which I'm very active on. Anybody who's ever been on this, you know, I'm like it's like the bat signal. They throw it up like, Jeff, what's your thoughts? And then so if
That's
you're
where we
listening,
met you. So
yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly right. So it's like you guys know I'm living there too, and I'm like, there's always like 2 or 3 guys on there, or people that are like, he's so obnoxious, but I, you know, I don't bite. But like, you know, people on the Food Network subreddit, it's like I'm so sick of these competitions. Why don't bring back the days of, all the stand and stir shows, right?
Yeah.
Admiral and all that
mhm.
that those legacy food shows. But unfortunately, it's not the network, dude. It's all you people. Like nobody
Yeah.
tunes into that. And
Right.
I
if
mean,
nobody tunes into a show, they can't monetize it and they can't pay for the 180 people it costs to make a television show.
yeah.
Right.
You know, so that's why they put all their eggs into the competition basket and the things that work because it is the riskiest business. And if
Yeah.
you think I'm not going to say yes to hosting a show after what I've been through before to get to this point, you're
Right.
crazy because I have standards and I want to be PBS and do America's Test Kitchen, which I
Yeah.
love, by the way. And it's like, I
Yeah.
love it. I love watching it, but it doesn't pay the
Well,
bills. And this is a business, you know?
I mean, I see that people talk a lot of crap about Worst Cooks, right? People say, like, people are always saying that people are too crazy on that show, which, whatever, you can think that way you want. But I think of every show, competition show, you learn the most about cooking on Worst Cooks because the chefs do demos every episode. So, like,
Yeah.
you
yeah, and it's back to
actually,
basics.
yeah. So I feel like I learn a lot when I watch Worst Cooks personally.
Mhm.
Well, I think I say people are always, especially if you don't watch the show, if you're not a fan and you're new to the experience. You know, the number one question is like, it's stupid. Anybody could fake being a worse
Mhm.
cook,
Mhm.
but that means you'd have to like, if you stick by, like, there's no advantage to remaining a worse cook. So you do need to like, right, fine, you could start it be fake, but you do like these celebrities, they're not good. Like you want to win each competition after that first skill cook, right? You just
Yeah.
Mhm.
like the celebrities are so competitive, you know,
Mhm.
like because their income is solely dependent on competitions, you know,
Yeah.
and you get like road rules guys there and challenge people, and you get
Uh-huh.
Wes and Mark Long, and you get, you know, Frankie Grande. I mean, these people have one Big Brother and Dancing with the Stars. I mean, they're there to
Mhm.
win. So there's no advantage to being a shitty cook like episode 6. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're really excited about this season. I feel like of Worst Cooks, and I feel like this is like, like Traders. Do you watch Traders?
Yeah, it's great. I can't wait for season 3. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
want to
I'm
talk to you about,
obsessed.
yeah.
So, so like what they, I feel like that like the casting this season on Celebrity Worst Cooks is so good because I feel like shows
Amazing.
like Traders are like making all these celebrities want to compete against each other in a way that like maybe a few years ago they weren't.
Mhm.
Because the cast, like I was shocked when me and Debbie we talked about it in the pod. We were shocked when we saw the lineup. Like Corinne Olympios to me is like a legend.
Dude,
And Tiffany is my lady.
oh,
I love New York,
New York is
Yeah.
so great. I
Yeah.
mean, you just mentioned those 2 names, and I just like my heart conjured up 3 stories each that I cannot wait for you guys to see.
Oh
I'm
my
Just
so
with
excited.
those 2, it was, first of all, this was a journey. We had some hiccups along the way. I can't get into, but like it took a while to shoot, and the
Mhm.
cast is so dedicated, and that's why I was
I
like,
love
these
that.
people are like, oh, they're just faking like that. I go, screw you. You know what? You know, Rachel, what
Mhm.
they go through.
yeah.
Now, these celebrities don't. I mean, like, right? They're legitimate reality stars. A lot of these people. First
Yeah.
of all, I mean,
Mhm.
you have Sebastian Bach, who
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my 3rd tape was Skid Row self-titled debut. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
know all the words to all his songs.
Yep.
And now I'm like an authority figure to this guy. And all you want to do is hope and pray that they're dedicated to the process because it's a real process.
Yeah.
And they're 100% dedicated. And you know, if you do encounter people, even the civilian versions, right? You know, people are like, I'm tapping out of this. It's not because they're not, it's because it's hard as hell.
Yeah.
And the days are really, really long and the work is grueling. And
Yeah.
when what the public doesn't recognize is, right, we start our day at 8 o'clock. You do some read-throughs, do some cold opens. We come out, we announce the thing. And then, you know, an hour and a half into that, you're finally doing your first goofy competition. But that's after putting on a stupid costume with a cape and some things and a propeller on your head. And then, you know, jumping in a vat of jello to find the clue to put together the recipe to blend something on a bicycle that you have to decant inside a thing using a helmet bolt. You know what I mean? Like, and then that's just the beginning of the day. Then we announce the skill drill. And then we do a 2.5 hour, 3 hour demo teaching you the fundamentals of culinary arts, right? The people who don't know how to not even hold a knife, but like that's what so we have to teach safety and heat. And it is, then they bust their ass doing this first skill. And then we do another demo and another thing. And sometimes it's 2 days long. And it's just not, and then in between all that stuff, you're interviewing in a tiny room for sometimes hours at a time, recanting, you know, everything that happens the day. It's mind numbing.
Yeah.
It is the hardest. I've shot a lot of TV shows, right? In my 13-year tenure here at the network, almost 14 years, I think so. And I can tell you, right? Sandwich King was hard. Standing, you know, my cooking shows, right? Because it's all you. It's you and the camera a lot. You have guests sometimes, and that's your family, and it's a lot of pressure. And then you got the field pieces, and it's just like days, and it's a lot of pressure, right? But you're done, and it's great. You feel great.
Yeah.
You know, I do holiday awards. It's like baking show. You're cake decorating. The days are long. And there's a lot of downtime, right? That's hard about that. The kitchen is ridiculously not hard. You know, it's like, you know, hanging in the basement with your friends.
Right.
And you get to eat some of the best food on the planet and have cocktails. You know what I mean? While I
Sounds
get paid,
fantastic.
I get paid to be a class clown, essentially. Occasionally make a pot of chili. Worst cooks in America is, I don't think there's I mean, other than like a Bobby's Triple Threat or you know, and even a Chop to that extent. Chop's a quicker day, but like worst cooks in America from a host standpoint, and I think a contestant standpoint, you could probably speak to that, Rachel. It's like there is no more laborious, longer, emotionally consuming show.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I feel like it was literally like they call it kitchen boot camp. It's like literally boot camp because you're in the kitchen like so many hours a day. But I can't wait to see. I know, like some people, speaking of Reddit again, some people have said like, oh, it can't be Worst Cooks without Anne.
Okay.
But I cannot wait to see you and Antonia together.
Yeah,
we
I
are
think that's
huge
such a
fans of
fun-
Antonia LaFaso on this pod.
Sis, my twinnie,
I
we
mean,
had so much fun. She is the best. And I love Anne. I'm super close with Anne. And I talked to Anne about this, and I didn't want to, like, you know, it wasn't about, nobody's taking over anything.
No.
It's all cyclical. Come back. This is TV in an era where nobody's watching TV in the conventional sense, right? So we're all figuring out, and these giant networks are figuring out too, right? To how to best navigate through these uncharted waters, right? And I'm not saying like, oh, they did it for ratings, they did it for this and that. They're just trying new things.
Yeah. Also, give her a break. She's done every season. Let her have some time off.
You know what? And who's to say she didn't be like, hey, you know what? I just need a break from these crazy ass celebrities.
Right.
And yelling at them from a perch for hours a day.
Yeah.
Because remember, like, there's so much yelling in this show. Like, your voice is just charred at the end of the day. Because you're like, no. Because it's not like I'm yelling at you because you're misbehaving. It's like most of the time you're yelling at them because it's dangerous what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like,
and you also want them to do a good job, right? Like you care that it turns out good,
God.
right?
And you want to beat the other team. You could be like, I'm just gonna collect a paycheck this time, but you're like, no, dude. By minute 2, you're like, I want to win this. I need to win this. And working with Antonia was, we were friendly before this, and now we're just, oh, look at that one. Who's that?
This is Sheena. Sheena, say hi
Sheena.
and then go
Hi,
back
Sheena.
Hi,
outside, okay?
Sheena.
Mwah.
Oh.
Oh, you want me to give him a bite
Oh,
of
she
that?
gives
Okay.
you a bite of something.
Oh, thank.
It's
Oh,
a dog treat. I was by my cousin's the other day and I ate a dog treat. And yeah, it was a jingle. You know, Trader Joe's does jingle jangle during the holiday
Uh-huh.
season, which is like literally a bag of just a bunch of crap they throw in there covered in chocolate.
Yeah.
So I saw the canister. I was like, oh, jingle jangle. And they look like peanut butter yogurt pretzels, you know, and
oh
like
no.
loaded. Dude, I put it in. I'm like, that's a little flat. Yeah. Dude. And I was like, you know, it's like that scene in what is it? Dumb and Dumber, where just
Oh,
stuff like the
Yeah.
caviar's coming out, or no, Big too with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
cascading out of my mouth. Sorry, not to divert, but Antonio's the
What-
best.
What can I ask you a random question? What's your
Yeah.
sign, your astrological sign?
How about you guess? Because it's
I
pretty
mean,
obvious.
I'm getting big fire sign energy from you. Is
I don't
that
know what that is.
okay? Are you a Leo?
Yes.
Okay, me too.
Wow.
So I could,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I meant by
Oh,
fire
that's
sign.
fun. You guessed it.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean like the stand up and like the food and everything. It makes a lot of sense. Sorry.
Yeah. I want to walk in a room and everybody be like, he's here.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
I read that in like a reading in a book. You know, when I was in high school, I was like, yeah, that's all I needed to hear.
Yep.
Debbie is a Scorpio, so she's like
Oh.
more brooding and like sultry a little bit.
Oh,
And I
that's how
add
you
the-
guys make
I
a
add
good team.
Yeah,
Good team then.
exactly.
Totally.
Rachel and I are like yin and yang, and I love it. It's awesome.
How'd you guys meet? How'd you guys get started in this?
We actually met on Facebook on a mom group.
Oh, yeah.
And it
Yeah.
turned out, so Debbie discovered that she had actually been like 10 years before to a party at my house. I used to throw ragers. So like we had been in like the same circles, but we had never met until the mom group on Facebook.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And we
Yeah.
just, have the same interests, and people say we look alike too. So
Yeah.
Whatever. It's similar enough, but
Yeah.
it's a good,
and here's
So-
okay. So sorry, Debbie, you go. Then I have an important question to ask after that.
Well, I have an important question because, we're talking about reality television, and obviously you're in it, you work in it, and you clearly love all sorts of reality TV. What's your like favorite franchise?
Favorite franchise. Let's see. When we group them all together, I think that for the new breed, I love Traders. I think that's just like
it's so good.
So good.
I'm a big Brother fan.
Mhm.
I've watched majority of those seasons. I didn't complete this season's Big Brother. It did lose my interest. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like there's so long. Like it's like it shows like there's like 3,000 episodes for one
Right.
season. Like Jesus, I got so much hours in the day, so many days a week. I've been known to do a little bacheloring as well as some housewiving.
Amazing.
You're
Wait, what's
speaking
your-
our
what's your
language right
housewife?
now.
Yeah.
I'm loving Salt Lake.
Oh God, it's just perfect television. Really.
It's so good. And actually shoot Holiday Wars out in Park City, Utah.
Oh no way.
So it's like all a Salt Lake based crew. And
You should do a crossover.
well, I don't know if I can.
Oh, come on.
Well, no, are there any housewives in this season coming out? I've worked with.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe some future might see some, but like I don't know. I'm like a duck to water with the housewives.
Yeah.
Like, we get along so well. Like I've done events and I've gotten close with the Gorgas, and I love Jersey. I think that's my favorite, just because it's like the only like Italian American reality show that's not Growing Up Gambino or whatever. So
Right.
will like that. But the Salt Lake will actually Seth Marks, whose husband is he?
Meredith's,
Meredith's husband loves our Jardinera, like
yeah.
loves it, loves our products.
She's Chicago too, isn't
Yeah,
she?
I think she's got some roots here too. So he spent, I think it was 2 episodes ago or 3 episodes ago. They're chatting about, I don't know. So I mean, I was like something hypersexual or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just eating chips and putting our medium jardinera, and it got minutes of screen time. I mean,
wow.
my shit was blowing up, and I was like, The people I haven't heard from in 10 years were like, oh my God, you're on the Housewives. Like, it's not having your own 3 shows on Food Network. No, that's not impressing you. It's my peppers on a Salt Lake.
Can your agent get you on Traders? I would love if there was someone from Food Network
Yeah.
on Traders, I would die.
You know what? You know what? That's not a bad idea.
Come on.
I mean, that last season with CT
So good.
and Trishelle, Phaedra.
Art.
I mean,
And
it's great. It's unique spin on the format.
You mentioned Bachelor, and Gabby Windy is like one of my favorite bachelorettes of all time, and she's on this next season, and I'm like really excited.
It'll be great. Did you watch Golden at all? Golden Bachelor?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Or
Bachelor
Bachelorette?
is like Bachelor franchise is like my number one obsession. And the only reason that I did not do a Bachelor podcast, I felt like it was it's too saturated, the field, where like there's not enough Food Network fan podcasts, in my opinion. So me and Debbie have like this, like I have a lot of knowledge and experience. This is why we did this. But do you know Jesse Palmer?
I have never worked with him. I think I met him at like an upfront or something back in the day. But no, I mean, I love his work. I think he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just so funny seeing him on The Bachelor and then on,
slumming on Food Network on basic cable. I know. I'm like, I'm
his
trying to go
little
the other way.
sweaters.
He just keeps coming back to basic cable. He knows it's good. People love it. You know, he's good. He's a good host.
He works hard because he does sports. He does Bachelor like 3 times a year, like 3 huge seasons. And then he does all of these Food Network shows. So he's a hardworking guy.
You know, and I can't really, you branch out too much, you know, like I just stick with the family, and I'm happy to be there, but you know,
Traders, come on. I mean, you heard it. Everyone tweet at Alan Cumming.
Yeah,
Jeff Mauro.
Yeah. I would be great at it. But I don't know if I'm diabolical like that. Like,
but that's why they wouldn't see you coming, you know?
Yeah. I'd be like Dan on the last season.
But they did see him coming.
Yeah, they did see him coming because he's like too nice, right? But I'm like, I think my problem with that would be I'm so needy to be, you know, well liked, right? Like, you know, it's all this crap is grounded in low self-esteem, isn't it? Right? Like, and that whatever fire sign, as you say, needing to be, you know, I need a plug. Like, I don't know, like I'm gonna be like hurting feelings and stuff like that. I mean, I mean, half my career is literally sending people home at this point. Like, in it every time I've never sent anybody home, and I'm like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, it's always like emotional for me. And like, not that you have to send people, traders home, but like, you gotta screw people over quite. I mean, that's the whole name of the game. And then I gotta like, but then they gotta like, do I want to like throw on a harness and like jump in a dirty pond? Or like, I don't know. I don't want to fall in water.
And we always have you covered with cockroaches at some point.
No.
You know what you should do is Last Bite Hotel, because that's like got a little Traders in there.
Yeah, that's true. What's
have
that
you watched
on?
that yet?
No.
That's on Food. That's
it's
like
on
one of the.
Can you erase that? Can you erase that? I just said what network's that on?
Yes,
sorry,
it's on Food Network. Yeah, and it's sorry, but it's it was so good. Nene won. Nene
Nene Leakes.
Yeah. No,
right?
Nene. No,
not Nene Leakes. Now we're thinking.
I was like, she might be on Worst Cooks too. We get her on next season.
No.
She'd be a trip.
Oh my God, she'd be so funny. So it's like Titus Burgess.
Yes,
we'll cut this out.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm aware of it. I just haven't watched it, you know.
Yeah.
But I think like, all right, there's 3 things I would do. The number one thing, and I've said this since I was a child, that I would love to do, and I won't quit until I get it, is to either I want to, it's too late for me to be a cast member, but I would love to get my career to a point where I'd be asked to host SNL. That to me would be,
there you go.
I'd be you know,
yeah,
pull the plug right after that, right? Just put me away. I'll be happy. But it's like current attainable things. I'd love to do Masked Singer. I am a singer. I'm a band. You know, I do play instruments and sing. I have a band. In one thing we've talked about, which I'm almost there, maybe like another year or so. I don't know, maybe some, or I don't know. Who knows? I don't know how to get you know, to transcend to where I need to be to get recognized, but be like Dancing with the Stars or something.
Oh, yeah.
But I've always told myself I'm a loving, very committed husband. I love my wife. She's awesome. Like I couldn't imagine being so physical with another woman, you know, and then having her watch that process. I think that would be
And there's always rumors.
Disrespectful. And then you look at I've had some of these people on my shows, you know, that have had, you know, breakups during or immediately after this Dancing with the Stars. I'm like,
I know. It does
it
causes a lot of Bachelor couples to break up because they go on right after the Bachelor and then they immediately break up because it's like, totally.
Break up my 25-year relationship.
Your marriage could handle
it. Just to come in fourth on Dancing with the Stars.
But I've heard about Dancing with the Stars that you get a huge paycheck. That's like one of the best paying shows ever.
I know.
Yeah. So
it'd be nice for a change.
I need to ask you something about the kitchen. So I once took a test on foodnetwork.com that said that of all the chop judges, I am the most like Jeffrey Zakarian.
Oh boy.
Do you see the resemblance between me and Jeffrey Zakarian?
I mean, he doesn't even wear glasses anymore. So no, I'm picking up on no Zakarian within your space at all.
That's what I was
saying. I checked with the IT department, whoever came up with that, you know, that intense algorithm that they wrote for this, what chop judge are you? But no, I'm not picking up on that at all.
I mean, I'm kind of obsessed with Jeffrey Zakarian. I think he's like a very like funny Food Network personality. And I would love to know what it's like working with him.
He is, he's one of my best friends in the world. We communicate daily. He is a mentor as much as just a, you know, friend. You know, he's not just a guy who's like, oh, let me give you my advice for everything. You know, he's just he listens. We love each other. We love our families. We're both, you know, very family focused, and we work together. And we you know, he thinks I'm funny, you know, and that's, I guess he could, right? He could find me obnoxious, right? On paper, maybe, especially in the beginning, like, who's this, you know, grunt? Who's this kid? You know, and he's got this pedigree and I'm like a deli guy, you know what I mean? It's like, but it's again, the yin and yang. And
that's what I was going to say. You seem like yin and yang.
Well, his birthday's the day after mine. So
that's funny.
Well, maybe that's why I got it on the test, because I'm a Leo too, you know?
Exactly. That's the only thing. That's the only way. It wasn't nothing other. You answered 115 questions and all that matters was your birthday. And he's just, you know, whatever. I mean, like, look at, he wears suit coats and he's fancy, but he's from a very lower middle class background, hardworking. I mean, came up through the mud, worked his ass off, worked, you know, with some of the craziest kitchens you can imagine, doing one of the hardest jobs on the planet. And, you know, if he wants to be fancy now and wear, you know, beautiful suit while he makes, you know, a roast chicken on TV, God bless, that's him.
Yeah.
And he's not going to change for nobody, man. And that's what I love about him. We're just, we're friends. I mean, we're going skiing again. It's our third year in a row going on a family vacation.
I love that.
So we're going to Utah, and it's his girls and my son, you know, and his son, and our wives love each other. It's great, and it's fun for our kids to kind of commiserate too, because I know it's a small little group. I mean, there's only a handful of people who do what we do and kind of have some shared experience, especially when you grew up in it, like my son did, and like his kids do, and there's no pretense. There's no prejudice there. It's like they're just kids of these idiots, dads, you know, that they love seeing socialize together and truly love each other. And it's a good lesson for them too. You know, you don't have to grow up in show business and be a bad parent, you know, be a philanderer, see an absentee father. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. I mean, because we both above the money and the fame and in the actual airtime, we value our families more than anything. And that's
great.
Same thing with Katie, same thing with Sonny. Like, we are so thick, it's not even funny. And I think that you know, other than informative, fun, funny TV that we hopefully make for everybody, like I think that comes through on the screen.
I mean, I feel like the four of you are people that you actually people actually want to hang out with, you know,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I feel like when I watch your show, it's like, oh, I can totally see myself just like sitting and
Totally,
shooting the
yeah.
shit and you know.
Yeah, thank you for that. I mean, that's what I want to come through, and
Yeah.
it's just to be. Listen, you watch these other ensemble casts,
Mhm.
these groups that constantly beat us at the. I mean, we haven't even been nominated in 6 years. I don't know why. We're just on the pay no mind, which is fine. I don't. It'd be nice to have one, but I don't care
Mhm.
anymore. That ship has sailed to me.
Mhm.
But like, I don't know. You watch the View and stuff, and like people are tuning in not for. I don't know. It's almost like hate watching, right? You're just like
Yeah,
Totally,
aggravated.
exactly.
yeah.
It makes you aggravated, but that's why people
Yeah.
keep tuning in. It's almost like the housewives, right? Like they
Yeah.
sit, they go to vacation, then they got the dinner, and then
Mhm.
then the drinks start flowing, and then boom, and then you're gonna hear gaslighting, you're gonna hear
Yep.
Yeah.
narrative, and then you're gonna hear, you just don't listen, and it's always your narrative, and then stop
Yep.
gaslighting me, and then someone cries, and then
Yep.
they, rinse and repeat, and it's
Yep.
great. I love it, but like. I don't know. Like that's the great equalizer about food, right? It's like, we all got to eat.
Mhm.
Hopefully we're all cooking something most of the time, and
Yeah.
we all don't know everything. I learn
Right.
every show from everybody.
That's great.
One of the things that made us want to interview you is because on Reddit, you said once, I saw in a comment, you said that you were just hanging out, drinking wine, watching the new Love is Blind. And we were like, yes.
This is our people.
Oh
Yeah.
God, was that god awful? Like, how about like not
It was
one,
depressing, very
not
was
depressing.
one
depressing.
person was like, you know what? I like you. No, I liked what's her name? The
Yeah.
the girl with the freckles,
Marissa?
and then yeah,
Uh,
Marissa and the real estate agent.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names.
yeah, no, now I'm like, I'm forgetting them too right
But
now.
whatever,
But
they were somewhat,
yeah.
Yeah.
enjoyable to watch grow as a couple.
Uh-huh.
But everything,
Yeah.
but they're doing it on purpose. But they're so good at it. They're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want everybody to get like it's riveting television. It really is a
Yeah.
hell of a sociological experiment. Compared to
Mm-hmm.
The Bachelor, which is like so like sparkly and
Yep.
produced.
I know.
Like
But it's
Mm-hmm.
also but The Bachelor is also so dark in a way, right? Because
yeah, it
like
is.
the fairy tale is not real, but we still watch it like it's this fairy tale, right? And
Oh,
it's
it's
Yeah.
just
like,
like they're always sweating, right?
Yeah.
They're always like at the
yeah.
altar, whatever, on a beach, the wind's blowing. They're always like, the dude's always just like, they got him in like
Yeah.
3-piece suit, and he's like sweating bullets.
Yeah.
Now with the older guys, they're sweating even more. And then,
My
oh, it's so funny. Just the scenes in each Bachelor or Bachelorette that get me every time where I'm like, I need to walk away, I need a break, is when they're like one of the dates, and then the mid-level, B-level musician comes out on the stage and sings a country love song. And they're like, oh my God, it's Travis McCoy.
they
And
have
they're
to
like,
act like they know who it
oh
is,
my, and
right?
they're like singing along, like, love me tonight. And they're slow dancing and sweating. And there's like, I just want to go home and take a shit in my own toilet
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
sleep for days. I mean, that's all it's like, because I did a reality show. You did
Yeah.
one too, Rachel. Like, it's like I've never been so homesick in my life.
Oh yeah.
Aw.
I was like, I don't want to be here anymore, but I want to
Yep.
win. It's
And you had a son at home at the time when you were doing yours.
we had no idea where I went. He was not even two. He was a
Yeah.
a
Wow.
year and a half. His hair fell
Aw.
out.
Oh.
He missed
Um,
me so much. His hair fell
I
out.
bet.
Now look
So-
at him. Look at this big dog.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Nice to
He's-
meet you.
Say hi, Lorenzo. There you
Hey.
go. Wow. What a.
It's like
So-
whatever.
He's like,
So
just
we're nearing the hour mark. So let's ask you a few more questions and then we're going to wrap up and talk about what we had for dinner or having
Oh,
for
sure.
dinner. But I want to ask, and since he's right there, especially, what is your son's favorite thing that you make?
Lorenzo, what's your favorite thing I make you?
Whatever those quesadillas was.
Oh, I made him quesadillas tonight.
Steak.
Steak.
Nice.
Oh,
quesadillas.
awesome.
But it wasn't. Yeah, go ahead.
Was there
Sorry.
anything like special about them or?
Well, it's because it's what we ate for dinner tonight. So yesterday, I had 5 prime. I had 5 prime flank steaks
Oh, wow.
left over raw from
Mhm.
my cousin's, my butcher. Okay, go figure, right? Shout out to Top Butcher. I go, Dave, give me. I need like 6 flank steaks for
Uh-huh.
Christmas Eve. I'm making braciole. So flank steak braciole recipe. You can it's online. It's on Food Network. It's Pammie's.
Oh, cool.
My mom
Oh, great.
Pam's braciole.
Yeah.
So
I'll
it's
link
like you
to it.
literally like butterfly, which is very difficult to do. A flank steak, then you pound it thin. I like flank better than top. I like something you can use round. I like flank. It's got more marbling, and you stuff it with everything. So I use like 5 of the. My cousin, my son comes home from the butcher. He's like, he's got this giant bag of meat, right? And I'm like, what? 2 giant bags of flank steak. I'm like, what? I asked for 6. He's like, my cousin's like, I don't know if you wanted 5 or 8 or whatever, you know. So, and he charges me for it, mind you. And I got him the job, but it doesn't matter. So Lorenzo ended up throwing the bag in the freezer. So I was like, now I can't, my cousin's like, just return what you don't use. Now I'm like, I'm not going to return him a bag of thawed meat that was
Right.
frozen. So long story short, instead of returning the meat, I had to thaw the meat to make the braciole 2 days later, which
Wow.
that was not a good time. It was turbo. Everybody made it out alive. Don't worry. Nothing. There's no E. coli, Ebola, whatever you get from that. And I had all these steaks. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to, everybody was sick in my family after Christmas.
Oh,
so I
I'm
was like, I'm
sorry.
going to go drop off stuff to my in-laws, to my parents. So Saturday, I rubbed all 5 prime flank steaks in my Mauro Provisions barbecue chip dust,
Ooh.
Nice.
which you can buy at mauroprovisions.com, which is the best on
Okay. We'll
salmon,
link to
sweet
it.
potatoes. So good, right? We love it on everything.
Uh-huh.
Coated it, racked it, wire rack sheet pan in the fridge overnight, let it soak in, dry out. Then I smoked it on Sunday for about 2.5 hours to about 125, right? Almost like
Wow.
medium rare. Because it's
Uh-huh.
not brisket. You don't have to,
Go
you're
all
not
the way.
rendering. Like
Yeah.
the braciole, right, is wrapped and rolled in braised in the tomato sauce.
Uh-huh.
Then you have this beautiful gravy afterward. And like it's good braised like that, you know, it can get
Right.
a little stringy, but you do it right and you cut it across the grain in medallions after letting it cool. It's this beautiful eating experience. But you could sear that steak and eat it, right? It's the flank steak. So I smoked it. It got a beautiful ring on it. So I'm like covered in meat yesterday. I'm like, just like so tired, like slicing all this meat, right? So I'm like, Lorenzo went and delivered it to my in-laws. I went to my folks, gave them a couple of it, sliced. So I sliced a bunch of it, vacuum sealed it, froze it for myself. I had one whole one today that was obviously cooled overnight. And I sliced that real thin for him. And then I layered that in these. Did you ever have? They're the best tortillas. They're La Tortilla Factory, hybrid corn flour tortillas. I don't know if you can get them out.
Ooh.
That sounds
It is-
great.
It's like flavor of corn, but the pliability and sponginess of better than any flour. I'm telling you, they're so good.
I gotta
So-
find these.
So we had
Sounds
some
so
good.
good. Yeah.
We had some good Tillamook super sharp cheddar.
Nice.
And then I didn't even heat up the thing. I just had my wife bring it out. I was on a call. I'm like, just bring all the meat to room temperature. I think a lot of times when people do leftovers, right, they pull stuff out of the fridge. They try to they throw it in the microwave or try to heat, like bring it out for an hour or two, like let it come to room temp, and you're going to have such a better reheating experience. I'm like the reheating master. So I sliced it thin. I layered it, folded it, right, cheese on both, between the meat, and I put a little ghee. And then I do 2 folded tortillas. It's the only way. Now, I don't sandwich my tortillas. It's mental when you try to cut it. So that's what he had. Where Sarah and she made a sweet potato, more barbecue chip dust. She halved it lengthwise, did it skin side up, and just blasted it in the oven. It was so good. It was like caramelized and soft, and the skin was just crispy. And then I took the steak, I cubed it. Instead of slicing it thin, I cubed it just because I know it's going to hit the hot pan. I don't want it to overcook. So the more surface area, right, you'll get caramelization, but you'll still retain that pink center. Because it doesn't need but 45 seconds in a hot pan. I did it in 2 batches with a little ghee. And boom, we had that, a Caesar salad and that potato, and that's what I ate. And I still got a bunch of meat left over. I'm gonna be. I'll probably
Awesome.
I'll have the gout in 3 days for sure.
Send some to us. I would love some steak
exactly.
right now.
Seriously.
So let us ask you quickly, lightning round, a few sandwich questions, and then we will. Okay, so we're from New York, as we told you. We need to tell us what you think about some famous New York sandwiches.
Ooh, okay.
There's a bagel with cream cheese and lox.
let's see, on a scale of 1 to 5, like 5
Mhm.
being like, I don't know how to rate this. I'm gonna give, okay, bagels. I'm not a huge fan.
Okay,
Oh,
that's fine.
okay.
I
That's
just
all
That's
right.
didn't grow
fine.
up eating it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
We're
I do
Jewish,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
so
Yeah,
Wait,
it's
you're
like you're like
canceled. You're
it's like you're
canceled now.
you're like you're mortadella, right? Like
yeah,
Yeah.
to me, it's
Yeah.
like we never. I mean, I'm from Chicago. Like, there's no bagel culture here. I mean, there is
Uh-huh.
now, but growing up, it was Lender's Bagels with
Right.
like my mom would buy fat-free cream cheese, and it was
Oh
like.
yeah, I remember
Meanwhile,
that.
we're all
Life.
chubby running around. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't think the fat-free cream cheese is working, Mom.
What about the bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll? The classic
Oh,
bodega bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll.
love it, especially
Yes.
like when it's at Crafty, on set, and they're sitting there
Oh,
for
okay.
like it just kind of sits there for like an hour or two, and you're like, I think I want a sandwich now, and you unfurl it, and it's just like so good and squishy. Love it.
And oh yeah.
So
Oh,
you get
yeah.
that a lot. So they give that to you at Food Network?
Well, you know what? That's like what the crew gets and stuff. I mean, as the talent week, I can order whatever I want. If I want an acai bowl, I get it. But I
What?
rarely, I don't eat a lot but believe it or not, I don't eat when I shoot. Like it
Mhm.
tends to bog me down. I'm not a big breakfast guy.
Mhm.
By the time lunch rolls around, I either, if it's worse cooks, like I'm eating literally 12 bites of bad food all day. And it's like, I don't want food
Yeah.
anymore until
Yeah.
I come home.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay,
get
that
it.
makes sense. Debbie, you want to do the next two?
Oh yeah. Chopped. So these are my two favorite New
All
York
right.
sandwiches. So chopped cheese.
Yeah, I've never had a proper one.
Whoa, we
know.
gotta change. Wait, so you and I need to talk because I work with George Motes.
Oh yeah, that was. How do you work with him? Yeah, I went there for the first time. It's excellent.
I'm so glad. I've been his publicist for 15 years now.
Oh snap!
And yeah, we'll take you up to get a good chopped cheese. We know
Yeah,
some
for sure.
places.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love to do something with George. I don't think
Awesome.
we've never worked together, but I know he messaged me. Well, I went there with Katie Lee's husband, Ryan Beagle. After Katie Lee made me and his wife and his daughter, we were there for New York Food and Wine. We had the
Nice.
most wonderful dinner. She made salmon and salad.
Aw.
Beautiful, the healthiest meal for my wife. She knows, they're both very similar. And then me and Ryan's like, we're sitting there, we're having a couple cocktails after dinner. He's like, hey man, do you want to go check out, Motis places? He's like, it's like 4 blocks away. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Dude. And so we went at a second dinner. It was one of those
Yeah.
That's
fondest
awesome.
memories of the year. But yeah, for sure.
I saw you post that pic and I was like, oh, we gotta do
It's awesome.
something.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, for sure. Please do. Like, even like, yeah, I'd love to hook. I got a lot of trips there coming up. So
Great. And so then that brings me to a Reuben.
love it. Probably top 3 in my book. Pastrami on rye being top.
Yeah.
Cats, Schmiradelli mustard. Langer's LA, right? Hand cut, house smoked pastrami. But you do the Rachel though. When you combine the pastrami with the Reuben. I mean, I've made thousands of Reubens in my career, and I got it down. And it's about 2 things, It's about the meat, obviously, and you either got to go like a hand cut, really soft, well rendered meat, which you're not going to find in many diners or places that might have a Reuben. You got to go to a deli for that.
Yeah.
Or it's like shaved, almost like deli style corned beef, which is perfect. But as long as that's kind of still supple, and then it's the melding. Like what I did at my delis and stuff was like meld. You have the kraut on there, and we'd always just like squirt the homemade 1000, let it mingle, and then throw the cheese on there, and then zip it up with your spat and put it on the buttered griddled bread.
Perfect.
And that to me, what a great
Sounds
sandwich.
awesome.
And my dad was a pro. Like, we did grow up. There's a place called Manny's here in Chicago, which is
Manny's is great.
Great. As far as my dad took us to as many Jewish delis as Italian delis growing up. It's a pretty 50-50 split because I love the food. And my dad would always order it no matter what diner, anywhere. And it was just a trick. He'd come with fries, whether it was a patty melt, which is kind of the same phylum of sandwich, right? Or a Reuben. My dad's like, I want the Reuben, extra crispy fries. But please tell the chef to do me a favor. Don't put the Reuben on the plate directly. Put it on top of the fries. This way it
Oh.
creates a vortex and lets the steam escape. Because what happens? It sits in
Uh-huh.
the window, it sits under the
Yeah.
lamp,
Uh-huh.
and then that just impenetrable diner plate just does something to that bottom bun, right? It gets
Right,
greasy
right.
and it gets soft a lot of times. So it's like a brilliant,
That's very
Oh,
cool.
that's so smart. That's
You're
so smart.
it's
you're
in my
making me
blood.
You're making me think of my Bronx Jewish mom, who every time we went
Ooh.
to a diner, she would ask them if they made their if before ordering a sandwich, if they made their corned beef in house or not. And like
Oh,
every diner is
pro-
like, diners are usually like no,
no,
but like
duh.
but she would only, as a New York Jew, she would only get it if they made the corned beef
Okay, so
there.
she
You
wouldn't
know?
order
Yeah.
it then. She'd be like,
No,
nope, on to
no,
the next thing, chicken
no.
salad. Yeah,
Only if they
total respect. That's total respect. That's
Mhm.
like, that's not even like a pain in the ass thing. Like that's a
Yeah.
great thing to ask anywhere. Because if you're like got your sets, your sights set on like is the sandwich experience, and they're just
Yeah.
gonna like run of the mill, Dietz and Watt, whatever, Boar's Head, they're
Yeah.
good if you're like making lunch at home real quick.
Mhm.
But like if I'm gonna go pay $14.99, $17.90, $23.99, I mean, like
Yeah.
what's a Katz's sandwich? 20 something bucks,
I mean, I
right?
think like probably 30 now at this point.
And it's like, I want it made in-house. Like I want
Yeah.
some handmade artisanal experience going into this meat
Mhm.
because it eats different every time. You
Totally.
can't manipulate that mass-produced stuff to make it even anywhere close to what Katz's or Langer's or any of these guys do.
Right.
Uh, Debbie, do you want to ask about your Chicago sandwiches
Oh
quick
yeah.
before we get
you know,
going?
we
Oh,
have
please.
to we have to do a French dip. Like, what's your
Oh, like Italian beef or French
Italian
dip?
beef?
Oh,
Italian beef. Sorry, that just came out of my.
Did
no,
you
it's all
did
right.
you watch The Bear also?
Yeah, you know what? I auditioned for the pilot of The Bear
Oh no way.
during COVID. Yeah, during quarantine for just
Wow.
a walk-on character. Nobody knew
Yeah.
anything about it. I got the script upstairs. Auditioned for a guy that was selling shoes in exchange for a chuck roll. Carmi was
Uh-huh.
trading his shoes for meat, and I was the guy selling meat. Of course,
Oh.
just typecast my whole life. I didn't get the part, but I really wish I did. But I believe that was the Cosmos saying there's a bigger part on The Bear for me.
No, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I
agree.
love it. I mean, I think it's peak television. I think
Mhm.
it's the greatest representation of the food industry that's
Mhm.
ever been on film and TV. I mean, it's exaggerated, it's heightened, but I think it gets it right a lot of the times. I think it's a great homage to our city, which beyond Chicago PD and Chicago Fire and Chicago Ambulance and Chicago Helicopter, and, like Hill Street Blues, and you look at
Yeah.
all these Chicago shows that are just like network, I don't
Not
know,
filmed in Chicago.
approximations, you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
have great sets and great locations and some locals on it, but doesn't feel it. The Bear really does a good job of being true to our city, and it's wonderful to experience. It's wonderful for all the restaurants and restaurateurs, chefs
Mhm.
and cooks that have been featured on there
Yeah.
Mhm.
authentically, and it's really made people pay attention to our culinary scene, which is phenomenal.
Oh,
My,
it's
my
the
biggest
best food
gripe.
I've ever eaten.
I agree. I could say it all day. I do travel a lot. I'm on the East Coast a lot. I work a lot when I travel, so unfortunately, I'm not like eating out every night. And I wish I did get wider experiences. But I mean, New
Mhm.
York is such a great food town. I mean,
Yeah.
can't say shit about LA either. Like, but Chicago is always kind of like the third city, right? And I
Mhm.
think people are literally just coming here to eat now, not
Yeah.
just
Oh,
coming
wow,
here to
yeah.
like go to a Cubs game or see
Mhm.
the lake, do these things, go see the Bean and have some deep dish and a hot dog. Like now people are waiting in line for an hour and a half outside Kasama to get a
Yeah.
breakfast sandwich and a
Uh-huh.
pastry. It's crazy to me. My biggest gripe, other than still not being on cast as a, like your friend, the friendly butcher they go visit, or another dumb cousin. I mean, just let me do it, man. I wish they would hire more Chicago actors and
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
more Italian Americans too, because if you look at the cast, it's all people playing Italians.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's the last thing in this appropriation world, like, where
Yeah.
people are so cognizant of it for great reason, and I'm like, there's so many good guys I know that are still
Yeah.
like just working and doing commercials in theater, in comedy, that
Totally.
are born, raised Chicagoans who happen to also be Italian American. And if you
Yeah.
just put like 2 or 3 more on there, and there's a couple on there, but like, I don't know. I know it's like, I'm like, as someone who I just wrote a script with my cousin, who's a very successful screenwriter, filmmaker in Los Angeles. And we've been working on it for a while, and it has to do with food and it has to do with Chicago, but it's not set in Chicago. But even like as we move, get closer and closer to actually maybe this might happen, you could see it's like, man, you need you need slam dunks. There's so much money and risk that go into making something. They're like, oh, I'm gonna give it to my barber, who's hilarious. Like, no, he might not carry. He can't carry a show. Like Carmi, in Cousin, I mean, the names are escaping me, but like
Jeremy Allen White,
Allen White, and then Moss Bach,
Evan,
right?
yeah.
Evan. Like, great. Oliver Platt, unbelievable, right? Just every actor so great that it's like, you know what? Who am I to say? Like, I think the show is still great, but just like, maybe I'm just jealous. I want them to throw me apart.
And then the last thing we'll ask you is Chicago dog.
Yeah. What's my favorite?
Oh, no, I mean, just do you? So, in New York, we have our style of hot dog.
Oh, stop it with your dogs. You got nothing on our dogs, and you know that. I'm dirty water corner dogs. With your charcoal pretzels and I'm like, I don't want any of that. But a pizza, always, right? I love, right? We always use this Vienna beef, natural casing, 10-to-1 frank, right? Snaps in your mouth, good steamed bun. I'm a fan of the depression style dog, which is mustard, relish, white onion, and sport peppers. That's it.
Okay.
Hand cut fries, right from the potato, right into the cutter into the fryer. Right? No double fry, no poaching, nothing out of a bag. And like they wrap the hot dog in the French fries, and it's this experience. You throw a little extra salt on there, and it's like you eat half the fries in the dog, half, no ketchup, obviously, and then you enjoy it. I think an experience. I think everybody should come here and experience like a true hot dog stand where you stand there and you eat it, and it's like the aroma and the buzziness. And I mean, people in New York really, I mean, anywhere in the world, like how many people wait in line a long time for a hot dog? Not many. Usually like a thing you get at a ball game or on the corner on the go, right? Like, again, like the pizza in Chicago, like an Italian beef sandwich. It's an experience. Like, we value it.
So when Debbie and I went to Paducah, Kentucky,
Nice.
to Sarah Bradley, the chef from Top Chef?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so we went to go see her to her restaurant for like a girls trip, and that's the only. So I didn't know how close Kentucky is to Illinois.
Yeah,
and
it's right
and that's like the only place that we went to that I've been to, had a Chicago dog at a hot dog stand. But it was just like, so it wasn't like in Chicago.
It was in Illinois, over the border of Paducah.
Yeah, we stayed in Illinois. You
know what? I don't want to burst your bubble, Rachel, but I don't know if that qualifies.
I know. I don't have a lot of Chicago experience.
Literally.
I've been before, but I don't have a lot of experience. Okay, so you told us what you had for dinner. I will tell you my dinner quickly, and we'll see if Debbie comes back. And then we're going to just do some plugs and get you out of here. But so my family's actually just out getting Mexican food right now because I'm doing this interview. But I do want to share that last night with leftovers, I made, so Debbie, my cat died, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm so
last
sorry.
week. It's okay. Thank you. But so Debbie and a couple of other friends sent me like a cheese platter, and I had this leftover goat cheese, and I had leftover puff pastry from Christmas where I made a baked brie.
Nice.
So I did the puff pastry, I did the goat cheese, I caramelized some onions and did like some strawberry jam, and I made like the most delicious tart. So I was very proud of myself.
That's very good. Pulling out of your butt like that, right? Last minute, using some leftovers.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, oh, like this sounds good, right? I mean, I had never used like the prepackaged puff pastry before, and I was like, wow, like this makes life so easy, and like I felt very fancy, being like, ooh, like.
Have you
this,
made
like,
your own puff pastry before?
No, I've made.
I was gonna say.
I've attempted like rough puff for a pie crust. Like I did a what's that thing called? The where you do it on the apple thing with the tarte tatin.
Oh, tarte tatin.
Yeah. So I tried one of those, but it didn't like come out right. The puff pastry.
Yes, that's a store bought is enough.
Yeah.
It's what you need for puff
We
pastry.
recap Bake Off here also, and so
Okay,
you know,
yeah,
like sometimes I'm like, oh, like I can do it,
I can do it.
but so this was just so great. I'm gonna ask you, tell Antonia LaFaso that we love her and that
I
we
will.
want to interview her on Moms of
All
Flavortown.
right, for sure. I'll
um,
tell her. I'll tell her. Yep.
and this has been like a dream interview. We were so excited. So can you tell us like where we should follow you?
Yeah, follow me on at Jeff Mauro on Instagram and all the platforms. It's my name. For any of my products, go to mauroprovisions.com. It's if you want the Chicago experience in any way, shape, or form delivered right to your door with the best prime Italian beef kits. We got hot dogs with everything
Ooh,
you need with
awesome.
it. We've got Chicago cheesesteaks. We've got steaks, chops, pork chops. We got all of our 5 different varietals of Kraft hot giardiniera, which is the best in the business. We got rubs. If you're on a United flight, you can order my burger, my Honey G
Wow.
cheeseburger on any Bistro on board menu. So next time you're on a United flight, look in the menu in the back. Every seat back has our product there, and you can also scan that QR code and go right to the website.
Well, we
Watch my
got
shows.
Worst Cooks is
Worst Cooks
premiering
premiering. Oh shit,
the
I should know
6th,
that.
I think, January 6th, right? Yeah.
You got the tune in information. So that'll
Um,
be celebrities, villains versus heroes. It's going to be the best season, guaranteed. Kitchen's on every Saturday, 11 a.m. Check your local listings for what time, but 10 a.m. out here, in Chicago, 11 a.m. on the East Coast. Yeah,
and everyone
that's it.
remember to tell Alan Cumming, put Jeff Morrow on
Yeah, I mean, like
Traders.
everybody do it. Look at me. The friendly guy gets real nasty all of a sudden. Oh, and listen to my podcast. Come on over. Available where you stream podcasts. We're at 250 episodes. It's with my little sister Emily. We've been doing it for a while now, and it's a little glimpse into our life and a little behind the
Awesome.
scenes. Food Network, and we talk a lot about TV too and food, obviously.
Awesome. Sounds
You know.
great. I can't wait to check it out. And really, thank you so much. This has been like such a pleasure. And Debbie seems to have lost her connection, but
Debbie, hopefully Debbie is alive and well. That's all I wish for Debbie now.
she's with her kids in Alabama right now.
Oh boy.
But we always end every episode with saying, and now it is time for, oh, I should wait, I forgot. Everyone, please rate, review, and subscribe to Moms of Flavortown. Follow us on Instagram. Very important. And yeah, and after that, it is time for us to pack our knives and go.
Nice.
Okay, thank you so seriously, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
That was great.
This will come out on Wednesday. So
Oh,
we'll send
perfect.
you the
Great.
link.
Sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thanks.
Tell Debbie I say
Bye.
goodbye. Bye bye.
Thanks.